Hey guys, welcome back to Red Devil TV. Man United 3, Burnley 1. Guys, cautious game. It was a cautious game, let's be honest. Let me know what you thought, but definitely throughout that whole game I thought cautious. We're being cautious. Don't let Burnley get any long balls over the top. We played a very physical team in Mctominay and Matic. I didn't like the midfield when the lineup first came out. But look, McTominay had a fantastic game. What did I expect? I expected Van de Beek to start. I'm pretty shocked he didn't start, to be honest. And, people can say whatever about Van de Beek and how, a lot of people I've been reading online how they don't think he's been, he hasn't taken his chance when he's played. And for me, I say he's been one of the better players when he started against any of the recent games, against any of the recent teams we played against. So for me, look, whatever, people have their opinion, but Van de Beek should have started yesterday, in my opinion. I think Greenwood was good. I think Greenwood was good in the midfield. I do want to say that, but I think there are times in certain games where we could have taken a lot more control. Like yesterday, it could have been 4-1. I think Ronaldo had a great chance in the first half where he should have buried it. Cavani had another. It could have been 5-1. Cavani had a good chance as well from Ronaldo's header. But look, if I look at it, Van de Beek, if we would have played next to Sancho, we would have had even more control in the midfield, better passing, it would have been quicker football, and would have probably provided even more chances for the forward line. Look, I think what happened yesterday was Matic was playing in a much more defensive role because he's a defensive midfielder, obviously, and it allowed McTominay to be more brave going forward. He had way more freedom. You could see he was constantly putting in shots outside the box. He was putting forward passes in. I do think a lot of the time there were a lot of, oh my God, throughout the game I thought, God, sideways passing, backwards passing. And this is why I say we were very cautious. We had control of the game, but we were cautious. And one of those reasons was because Burnley were also poor. They didn't really have much of a threat. De Gea had a very quiet game because he didn't have much to do. I was very surprised Cavani wasn't really in the game. He didn't really press as much. However, he didn't get much of the ball. I thought a lot of the time there were moments in the game where the forward line definitely got some opportunities to go forward, but you did see Cavani coming in deep to try and get the ball. Because we were playing very sideways and backwards for a lot of the game, I feel. I did think there was a better connection between the midfield and the forward line, and I think because when Bruno's not playing, he plays a lot of risky passes, and we know this. Bruno is a risk taker, and a lot of the time that can be a benefit, but it can also be a bad thing as well because it can lead to bad counter attacks. And I don't think Burnley have the team to do that. You saw Chris Wood constantly trying to get headers in. Lennon was definitely a threat when it came to the counter attack. That's why he scored. And look, they'll talk about Bailly's a mistake when he lost the ball, which caused Lennon to score. But essentially, Maguire needs to put a foot in there. He needs to stop him from taking a shot, put him on his weaker foot, barge him, but use your body. Maguire's a big guy, and he didn't do any of that, and that's why he got a shot off and he got a goal in. And I think Maguire in the last couple of games has been poor. He's been poor, and very surprised Varane didn't start. People say, yeah, he just came back, and I do agree with that. But at the same time, he played the whole game against Newcastle. Would love to see Bailly and Varane together. I do want to see that. In terms of the fullbacks, look, I expected Telles and Dalot to start, but it didn't surprise me seeing Wan-Bissaka and Shaw. I do want to see Shaw and Dalot. Reason being, I think Wan-Bissaka, you saw yesterday, fantastic defensively, putting a great block in that we almost conceded from. But I do think that the attacking threat, it's not even... Come on, it's not even comparable between Wan-Bissaka and Dalot. Look, and of course we will talk about defensive capabilities from Dalot and his agility and his 1v1s. I don't think they're close to Wan-Bissaka. I do think that Dalot has had good defensive games recently against Palace, etc. But we were playing a lot more of a high line against Palace and counter pressing. Even this game, I'm very confused in terms of what Ranić wants, because he does want to play this attacking football, this counter press, high energy football. Yesterday was more of a composed, don't lose, control the game, type of game. That's what it was for me. It wasn't a. If there was a time to really press the team and embarrass them, it was yesterday. You saw Burnley just didn't do anything. They didn't really have any threat. But then again, I didn't think we were much better. It was a weird game. It was one of them ones where I didn't think we were much better than them. But essentially, we had control even without being 10 times better than them. And a lot of the time, what we saw yesterday was Luke Shaw going forward, taking risks. And you saw this. Luke Shaw, what I think he offers more than Telles is, funnily enough, I do think he offers a bit more of an attacking threat. I think he's better defensively. However, I do think that Luke Shaw can be a bit wasteful with his corner crosses, and it's like it's effortless. Like he doesn't really Telles puts a lot of effort into his crosses, and I think Luke Shaw needs to work a bit more on those. I think that's the only thing Telles has on him. But I think there will be a slight rotation there in terms of Delon and Wan-Bissaka. I think there's competition there between Delon and Wan-Bissaka. And look, if Delon had Wan-Bissaka's defensive work, I would choose him every single day. And it's the same with Wan-Bissaka. If he had Delon's attacking capabilities, I would use him. But I think that the thing is, look, you saw yesterday when Wan-Bissaka's on the ball. We've noticed for a very long time. I get quite nervous when he's on the ball because it looks like he's going to lose it, even though he doesn't. You just saw, even though he kept going forward, Wan-Bissaka was definitely overlapping a lot of the time, but he sideways passing, backwards passing, and that's the annoying thing. But look, I think Matic allowed Mctominay to put in those forward passes anyway, so Mctominay was definitely a bright player yesterday. He was man of the match for me, and he was doing those forward passes. He was being very, he was taking risks, but at the same time, there were times again I was like, come on, McTominay, pass forward. Same with the wingers, the two offensive midfielders. I do think that Sancho and Greenwood a lot of times were passing backwards, but then again, second half we're playing a bit more of a higher line, but we're being very cautious. We were holding on to the ball, and look, I don't think Cavani got much of the ball. I think that's why he was dropping very deep to try and get the ball, but he was still very quiet even when he got the ball. There's that one chance from Ronaldo that he put on the header in for Cavani. Ronaldo should have buried the chance in the first half. He got a header in as well, which wasn't a clear chance, but there are a few opportunities there. It was 3-1, quite clinical if you're asking me. Bangers, obviously in terms of the goals. I think Sancho's goal, it was a thing where it was a deflection and went in, and it is what it is. And I thought it was on target. I thought Sancho was going to get the goal, but it wasn't on target before it deflected. So I thought every player was pretty decent apart from Maguire. I thought Maguire was a bit... a couple of times Bailly had to help him out there because Maguire... Lennon was kind of spinning in him at times. I thought Chris Wood was always winning not always, but most of the time he was winning the battles in the air in terms of getting a header in. And Chris Wood is a big guy, let's not get it twisted. But look, at the end of the day, it was a game where we needed to win. I don't think it was an amazing game. I think we won comfortably without being a much better team. But that shows you where Burnley's at anyway. How we beat Burnley comfortably, but we struggled to beat Norwich and Newcastle, who are also in the bottom half. So it's a bit of a madness. But you constantly saw Greenwood and Sancho switching, which I liked. I thought Sancho was a threat on the left as much as on the right. One thing that, look, Van der Beek, he's finished at this club. He's not going to play. And, you don't have Bruno, you don't have Pogba, but you still play Greenwood in the midfield. And I like Greenwood. I think he's a great player. I do think, however, pass instead of shoot. And the same with Rashford. It's very similar when you have them in the midfield. I think Rashford is actually a bit worse than Greenwood in the midfield because he loses the ball more than what Greenwood does. Greenwood is better, I would say, on the ball. I think he actually has more control of the ball than what Rashford does. And not that Rashford has poor control, but I think Greenwood has better control. Greenwood has better... I think his decision making is slightly better than Rashford in terms of knowing when to pass, knowing when to cross. However, I still think it's not miles better than Rashford. I think these two players in the midfield, there's not as much quick passes, there's not as much control in that attacking midfield area. That's why I would love to see Van der Beek. He's going to look for that forward pass. He's going to look for those opportunities instead of shooting all the time, which Greenwood and Rashford do sometimes, which can be a bit annoying. And you saw yesterday Greenwood put 2 shots in which weren't good, where he could have passed, and you never know what would have happened. But Van der Beek is finished at this club. You don't have Bruno and Pogba, and you're not going to play him. So it's a big shame for me, in my opinion. People can talk he hasn't taken his opportunity, but he should have played. You have Pogba, Bruno, you're not playing him. Whatever. What can you do? He's not going to play anymore for sure. There's no way. But look, it was a comfortable game. We won 3-1 against Wolves. I think if we play Matic and McTominay, I think we lose. I think you can imagine Traore, Trincao, Ruben Neves. Jose Sarr, I think, has been second in the league for the most saves behind De Gea. So, look, I think we need to play a different team. Bruno's going to be back. I'm excited to see when Pogba's back. It'll be exciting to see how he plays him. Is he going to play Bruno, Sancho in the 10 role and then play Pogba in the deeper role, but have a defensive midfielder? If we buy one, that would be a good start. But in that case, Van der Beek is gone. And so the forward line, is Cavani going to go? The people were saying yesterday, look, he clapped off at the end and he seemed like an emotional one. It looked like he was almost saying goodbye, but I don't know, man. I would love to see Cavani until the end of the season. I think he's such a good player, but he was a bit quiet yesterday. But I do think that there's more of a connection between Ronaldo and Cavani. Even yesterday, when there wasn't that much of a connection as much as the Tottenham game where they both played phenomenally, there than there is so with Greenwood and Rashford with Ronaldo. I just think the experience and the link-up play between Cavani and Ronaldo is way better than Rashford and Greenwood. So we need to see what happens there. But man, I think Ronaldo and Cavani need to play as much as they can if Cavani stays till the end of the season. The midfield until the end of the season, I'll probably play Sancho and Bruno. I'll possibly play Pogba in the deeper role with a proper defensive midfielder if we have one, if we get one in the January transfer window. But if we don't get one, it's going to be interesting to see that battle between Van de Beek, Pogba. If Lingard stays, Lingard was on the bench but he didn't come on yesterday. Loads of question marks for this team. So let's see what happens, guys. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the game, and I'll talk to you guys later.